I mean, I think as is tradition,
Yep.
should we not start with a little shoot? Little shoot?
Not. Yep. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to give me a second here.
Is that an apology?
Turns out, don't have a lot of spirits in the house, so I found this gin.
That's what That's our gin that I'm doing a gin
Oh,
as well.
really?
Yeah, that's our brand.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's not my gin. I think it's Lauren's parents' gin.
Oh, okay. Well, that's by transitive properties.
I guess so. By the way, it's our 10-year anniversary, Nick. We got to say this.
Can you not see my?
Oh my God! Look at you. Wait, let me take a screenshot of this. Gorge. Congrats,
my friend. Nice suit,
To
by
us.
the way. Looking flash.
to us.
Yes,
Yes,
10 years.
Clink.
Clink.
This is gonna.
Sprabowska.
Oh boy, I'm worried about this.
Oh.
Oh.
What kind of gin was that?
It was good gin. It was Bombay, but to be honest, I had a bit of a time last night.
Roots Marlborough. World's Best Gin Awards. 2022. Won the world's best gin. Best gin in the world.
Oh God.
Okay.
That is all right. That'll put a few hairs in your chest.
Yeah. Cheers.
Wow, we are just we're binge drinking.
This
within
is like
the
the
first
old
2
days.
minutes.
This is the old days.
Oh boy. All right, I'm excited
I'm excited.
for this episode.
Me too. This
And
is
why?
a formal
Why is that?
event, of course.
It's an interview, essentially,
Yeah.
just between two very professional men.
Yeah, it actually genuinely looks like we should be reporting the news.
When was the last time you had a job interview?
Been
a
probably
while.
coming to New Zealand. Yeah.
Bit rusty, aren't you?
Yeah. I did have versions of job interviews applying for video game stuff along the way. I did apply for a couple other media jobs after the Whitebait thing, but yeah, it's been at least 4 or 5 years, I'd say.
You got to keep that up. You got to just apply for jobs and interview just to keep it up. You know,
It is a skill
it's
set. It's totally a skill set.
It just go. I've gone for about 11 in the last 3 months.
Yeah,
I can say that now because I just left my job. But I think I'm nailing it now.
Great. You feel like you've hit a groove.
You know what the key is? Don't prepare.
Really?
Yeah, for me, I think that's the way. Like, do a little LinkedIn stalk. Do a little research
Don't you
on
need
the
to
company.
know like I was going to say something about the company.
I think I'm better when I'm just zinging and zanging, baby.
Right.
I'm Vince Vaughning my way through an interview.
Zinging and zanging like Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you have just successfully had an interview and thus secured a job? Should I congratulate you? Should we do a shot?
Are you serious?
No.
No,
Well,
I can't-
I'm not serious.
I can't do another shot. I mean, you can go.
No, so
I do have an esky though here.
Okay, good.
I brought an esky.
That's very cute. Like you do to all your interviews, which I think endears you to some of the the bosses that you meet.
Some of them really love it. Most of them don't appreciate it.
That's fair. Hey, I went for a hike for 3 days this past week, and
I would love to hear a story about it.
that sounds like you were being held at gunpoint.
Wow, tell me everything about your hike.
Okay, fine. You're always complaining that I don't do things in my life. I don't have stories to tell or exciting activities, and so I go off and do something. And I thought maybe briefly. We've got so much to talk about this episode. I just thought we'd get it out of the way.
By the way,
okay.
You have, and this is by no means a red light on the hike story that you're about to share with us. But you tell a lot of hike stories.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back through the canon.
Now I'm really
lot of hike.
Now I'm really
Self-conscious?
self-conscious. Yeah. Now I'm feeling like maybe this is a mistake.
No, go ahead.
Oh God!
Everyone wants to know.
Well, I went for a really nice.
See any trees? Up there? How's the altitude?
It was so up there. Yeah, it was really.
Yeah.
Okay, well, fine. Look, Went for a hike.
No, do it for real. Do it for real. Don't do that.
You're pointing out a true flaw in the story, which is there's not really like a thing that happened or like a big sort of amazing story. It was just like a really nice adventure. My boyfriend and I went.
The last time you went for a hike, you saw 2 people fucking in a van, I believe.
That was on a trip. That's true, but that wasn't hiking up a hill. But well,
tell me about. I do want to hear.
We went to the Paparoa Great Walk, which is one of the newest, most famous top tier walks in New Zealand, an incredibly beautiful part of the world, the West Coast. If and when you come over to New Zealand, I would love to take you out that way because it's like prehistoric, like subtropical rainforests, Jurassic Park kind of vibes. And we bundled up sleeping bag and food and everything and carried it in our packs on our backs for 3 days. We walked over 60 kilometers.
This is a trek.
This is a real, like, actual walk.
That's an actual trek.
Yeah, had to bring everything with us and had to take everything away with us. It's a national park. So these walks are really in demand in New Zealand, and you have to stay in the huts. You're not allowed to just camp. And the huts,
so you have to book ahead?
You have to book. This is my point. Yeah. So you have to like pick dates that work for multiple consecutive huts along this ridge line.
And well in advance.
Like when they go live for the new calendar year, there's like a flurry. Like people are trying to get the dates that they want because Easter's really in demand or Christmas is really in demand, this kind of thing.
Oh my God. Hiking nerds.
Yeah. But like it's a big sort of outdoorsy New Zealand thing. So we had found times just after Easter, which actually worked out quite well because obviously the long weekend was when everyone was traveling, but we went the week after the long weekend and there were some dates there. So we the first day was this like really steep, and we're talking 20 Ks a day. So 20 Ks a day with 15 kilo packs on our back. And the first day is the hardest and steepest climb to do. And so we get up through this like steep sort of forested area and then onto this ridge top, and it's just like the most beautiful like scenery. I sent you a couple of photos. I'll put one on the chapter title, but it's like impossible to capture with a photo either because you don't feel it unless you're standing at the top of this like peak with the wind rushing past you and valleys on both sides and the ocean out there and the sunset, and completely alone because there's only 20 beds in each of these huts. And you have to stay in a hut to be there. There's no one else on the trail. So it's sort of like private. Like we walked this entire thing and you weren't bumping into anyone else. So you were ending up like, you felt like you were completely alone, 3-5 kilometers away from everyone else around you in the most beautiful landscape you've ever seen. So
that's the hardest thing to do in this day and age. And like, I appreciate that. I appreciate like wanting to get to that, like when you can't see like anything that's man-made, like even a fence, in a farm, it's like trying to get back to as close as like I just want my view and my periphery to just be like landscape.
And it's quiet, like you can't hear traffic, you can't hear helicopters, you can't hear boats. It's just like what the world was like a million years ago.
That's exactly. Yeah, I mean that's primal. That's something, I think.
Yeah. It's like meditative. Like people would pay money for that in an app to hear that like atmosphere,
Yeah.
So we did that on the first day.
We should start that app, by the way.
We should.
Just landscape photos with
just atmospheric rain on it.
Bird sounds.
Sounds, yeah. I mean, I'm 100% sure it exists. The first day was the steepest part. And the second day we had 20 Ks to travel along the top of the ridge. And then the last day we had about 17 Ks to take down the other side and back to where we parked our car. So the way it worked was you left your car at a campground, got this shuttle around to the start, and then you walk back. And they're pointing out as you're like driving on this highway with a bunch of other people, like, oh, if you look up on your left there at the top of that valley, that's where your hut is, where you're going to stay tonight. And then we drove for like another 35 minutes. And I was like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. How are we still driving? That's where we're staying and it's been 30 minutes by car. How are we going to get there? I don't understand. Weather, like the first day was stunning in terms of weather. Not boiling hot, but really clear, really still. Second day was sort of cloudyish, a bit of mist in the air. Like all the forested areas were like super ethereal and like like vibey, like very Stanley Donwood. And then on the third day, overnight, this storm rolled in and just started shitting down rain. And on the last day, we had 17 kilometers to walk from the top of this mountain down to the car park again. And it was absolutely bucketing down for 4.5 straight hours. And so you just left this hut where you'd done your best to wrap everything up. But then there's nothing you can do at a certain point. Like when you're out for that long, you're just going to get wet. And you just hope that all the things that are important are wrapped up enough to survive. But then it sort of crossed this threshold where it became sort of freeing. I don't know if you've ever had this sort of experience, but where you're like so wet that you can't, it crosses over to being pointless to worry about things. So you're just like getting to river crossings and just like striding through with your boots, like jumping in puddles, like almost like this like toddler, because you can't get any worse.
You've become wet.
Yeah, you can't get any worse.
The idea of wetness.
Yes.
I never just a small tangent. I never really understood this. Like this, when it starts raining and everyone starts running under cover. I'm like, it's fine. Like it's not scary. Just like be wet. I never understood why it was bad to be in the rain.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. I love the rain, and genuinely, I like walking in the rain. But typically, it's with like an umbrella or something, so you get the vibes without like the damp. But
I've proudly never owned an umbrella. Never. I'm anti-umbrella. And actually, the other day it did start raining, and I said to Lauren, "I'm going to go for a walk," because it started raining. She was like, You're going to go walk in the rain.
See, this is why we're friends. This is why we're friends.
A choice.
This is why
it's the best, dude. You know why? Also, no one else is walking.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Streets to yourself, baby.
Oh, water from the sky is falling. It's scary. Everyone get indoors. Pussies.
Not me. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sad and lonely enough to want to go do this.
And I'll listen to some really good music. Yeah. To really put me in a sad, depressive mood, which is what I like because I'm deep.
Yeah. I am deep.
Anyway, it was a great hike. I just thought I would tell the people and recommend it.
Well, sounds incredible.
Yeah. When you come to New Zealand, we can go do something.
No. Welcome to... I can't do it.
Welcome to Deep Thought, everybody. 225 episodes, the big 10-year spectacular. Thank you so much for being here. We're both very excited, even though you can't see our faces. Michael has his head in his hands and looks unhappy to be here. But that's just the facade. And underneath that,
just playing Mr. Cool.
just he puts a jacket on, he becomes a totally different person.
Yep. Maybe.
This is a podcast, and to be honest, you already know what it's all about, so I'm not even going to bother today. I'm not going to bother. You're here, you get it. My name's Nick, you know that. That's Michael, you know it. Let's just get on with it, man. Let's just
get over it. Get over it.
Get over it. Get over it.
Get over yourself.
Get over it. Speaking of getting over myself, can I just flag something very early on? Good Grief. People have been wanting Good Grief Season 2 in Australia for a long time. I have no explanation as for why it has taken this long. But as we record, we finally have a release date. It is going to be on SBS this week, Thursday, April 11th, 8:30 p.m. on NITV, and then on SBS On Demand afterwards. They're airing 2 episodes a week for the next 3 weeks. We might talk about the first 2 next episode, and maybe we'll talk about the whole season after that. But please, if you've watched the first season, check it out on SBS. I'm really proud of this show. It's taken a long time to get to you, but I think it still holds up, and I'm very excited for you all to see it. So check it out.
Me too. I have been lucky enough to... I'm not allowed to say this?
Yeah, you might have... sometimes things fall off a truck and friends find ways to see things.
Yeah, I got a couple of DVDs that fell off the back of a truck. Blu-ray,
of course, yeah. 4K.
Blu-ray. But I have seen it, and look, I think the term jumping the shark kind of gets banned.
Fuck you.
Imagine if that was my criticism. I'm like, dude, love season 2, but I feel like you kind of jumped the shark a little bit.
Oh, that's so funny. Anyway, check it out, please. If you'd like to, it would mean a lot. Okay, well, Michael, we have so much to talk about today. Well, let's not fuck around. 10 years we've been doing this.
Wow. 10 long years. Can you even fathom how we got here?
It's kind of crazy. I mean, the amount of time that we spent talking about doing a podcast before actually starting our podcast is probably at least another year on top of that.
You know what's wild? We've been doing the podcast for most of our relationship at this point.
2007 we met. 2024 now, 17 years. Yeah, you're totally right.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
We were 7 years into friendship when we started, and 17 now. My God. Yeah, the maths adds up. It certainly weirdly doesn't feel like 10 years. I mean, I suppose it's because we've only done 225 episodes, which is regular-ish, but not like 3 times a week.
We talked about this the other day. It's a pretty good strike rate.
Pretty good strike rate.
I mean, that's 25. That's once a fortnight. Basically, our average is once a fortnight, essentially, for 10 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's been a fucking beautiful ride, man. I gotta say.
Yeah, I am. It's one of the most. It's the thing that I look forward to with such regularity every 2 weeks. I'm like, when it comes around again to a record week, I'm like, this is going to be a good weekend.
That's such a nice thing to say. I feel the same way. I was actually listening because you sent me a few episodes. You were doing some digging on our episode, whatever. I think maybe about the ADHD stuff. And I listened to some of those episodes, and there was a chunk there where I just did not listen to the show. And so I was like listening to episodes that I have no relationship with at this point because they're years ago.
Yeah. And
we said that on one of the episodes. It was like 2020 or 2021. We had like a very like antagonistic, silly kind of moment, and then we went straight into like, I really love doing this with you, and it was just like a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And that's I think been true for most of the way through it as well. Like even at the very start when we had no idea what we were doing and the audio quality was terrible, we were sitting in the same room having a drink and just talking, and it always felt fun, and it was something to look forward to weekly when we did it back then. Remember every Sunday night I'd come around with my laptop and we'd do it weekly.
Yeah, it was annoying. But it is the longest I've ever stuck at anything. And it's also, and I'll say this, I think it's the proudest thing that I have ever done.
Really?
Like in terms of, I know it sounds like lame, but like I think because we do this for purely the right reasons. No one listens to this show. By the way, if you're listening, thank you
very much.
We appreciate you. But like, I mean, we just do it to catch up. We do it as a time capsule. We do it to check in. I don't know. I just think it's like, it's pure. It's very pure to me.
Yeah. It's putting like tapes
There's no
into
ambition.
the time capsule, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's just like logging. This is what we were thinking about in April of 2024. And this is what, I went back and I was scrubbing through episodes, as you said, and like hitting some of that 2020 stuff where you can hear us like freaking out because the world's changing. You can go back and listen to the 2016 one when Trump becomes president, where we did like a rush pod on that same day. Like it's checkmarked these big moments, not just in our lives, but in the world as well. Like it's crazy the stuff that's happened in 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, there's like, you can have photos. They can go back through like your Facebook memories and stuff, and photos will give you something, but it won't give you, the like emotion. And I think that's often, with these big moments that we've like checkpointed or signposted or whatever, I think we have this like really nice thing. Like, I think a lot of people don't get. It's like a journal. It's like an energy.
It is like a journal.
Communicate energy in a way that you couldn't do in even, writing in a journal or in a photo. So it's a beautiful thing. I love doing the show. I love you.
I love you too.
I feel like I should make a joke.
Something about my hairy shoulders.
Yeah, that's good. They are. Did you just come out of hibernation?
Oh yeah, you got me. Yeah, that's sort of that's lightened it a little bit, which is nice.
That would have killed in the bear community.
It would have, in more ways than one.
The bear community.
Yeah. As I said, I was skimming back through some of the old stuff, just trying to remember all the different eras of it, because it has been an evolution over this time. And when you listen back to us in our early 20s, in those first episodes, we're talking over each other. We're trying really hard to keep it under 40 minutes, which is so quaint and backwards. Topic wise, you're just sort of skimming past all these big things and don't have segments really yet. And then you hit a phase where we did, I think, 8 months, and then I got a job and I moved overseas. And that was a huge change in my life, and one that looked like we'd end the pod there. And then sort of the second era of the Skype call stuff, there was a phase where you didn't even have a computer. I don't remember if you remember this, but I'd just call you on your phone and record your end of the conversation.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I would FaceTime audio you. I would record that call, and then I would throw my audio on my end, which was recorded onto a mic. And then through to where we are now, which is actual sort of semi-professional setup.
Very professional. But
yeah, you can chart so much progress in us as humans and as podcasters in that time. It's crazy.
Do you think after 10 years, do you think it's a better show?
Undoubtedly. I mean, just you think back to our Christmas stuff where we're writing songs, right? We would sincerely probably throw 70 hours of work, combined into that one episode of the show. And, even week to week on a standard episode without, original songs or whatever, I spend hours editing it and trimming it and maximizing the polish of it, where the original...
It was the original stuff.
It was just one audio track, because we were sitting around one microphone, and I just cut off the start and cut off the end and upload it within 5 minutes, and whatever happened.
Yeah, I remember, because actually on one of the episodes I was listening to yesterday, we were talking about this, and we were saying that there was one night where do you remember Ben Williams?
Yes, of course I do. Yeah.
He was on, or it was just whoever was around in my kitchen was like, hey, we're going to do this. You can be on it if you want.
Yeah.
And we recorded the episode. And then I remember listening back to the episode with Ben 20 minutes later after you left. We were like, let's listen to it.
Yeah.
And you left home, and we just listened to it in the kitchen. We just listened to ourselves having the conversation that we had an hour ago. That's essentially just what we did.
Yeah. We can't deny there's some narcissism involved, but we've never lied and pretended otherwise.
If this podcast is nothing else, it's masturbatory.
I did genuinely, for a while in the lead up to this episode, wonder if we should do what we did for episode 20. Do you remember what we did in episode 20?
No.
Episode 20, which was, again, maybe 5 months after we'd started the podcast, we decided that what we'd do for the 20th episode is play back the first episode and director's commentary over it.
No, I do remember that. That is so funny. That's still funny.
It's still funny just because of how early it is. It's 4 months later.
No, that is I stand by that. That is such a ridiculous that's a hilarious bit.
Yeah.
A director's commentary on a podcast that you've been doing for 2 months.
Yeah. So
hilarious.
I did consider proposing for this episode that we listen to episode 20 and do the director's commentary on episode 20, which is the director's commentary on episode 1. It felt a little bit up ourselves. But anyway.
I mean, I think it's better just to float that was an idea that you had. Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, there's a lot of those. The chip chat.
Yeah.
It's just like bits that only we find funny, and it's also just annoying. It's so annoying.
Chip chat, for people who are unaware, was a segment in which we reviewed potato chips on the podcast, which just involved us loudly eating a flavor of chips and talking through the crunching noises in a really kind of unpalatable way. It's like anti-podcast material.
It's anti-comedy.
It is. It's anti-everything.
It's anti-Semitic. But it is. And also those videos that we did during lockdown of the chip chat thing. Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but we were like probably bored during lockdown.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's film us doing a chip chat and then post the video on Instagram. And you were like, okay, we should both eat the chip, but then never get to, it should cut off before the review even starts. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, this is something that this is a choice that you were like insisted on.
Uh-huh.
So there should be preamble about the chip and then the review just cuts off.
That sounds funny.
Like, I don't even get it.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's a free space for experimentation. This sort of this open-ended dead air kind of vibe. You know, anything goes. Anything has.
Serious
vibe.
Question.
Yeah.
Serious question. Should we be bigger?
Should we be bigger? Define.
And by we, I mean me.
Okay.
And by bigger, I mean my penis.
Well, I think the answer
is yes.
Yes, but that's true for most people.
Yes.
The idea that we're sort of entitled to a higher status, I don't know.
Entitled? Why are you?
Well, you're saying should we be bigger? Like that's something.
I mean, but don't you? Okay. So I know we've never really been ambitious with this podcast, and I think that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
We've never put effort into marketing, apart from
excuse me,
just like we've got a joke about
money.
turnips. We probably sunk $500 into Facebook ads, but they've been just jokes that we've had that we thought were so good that they deserved money backing behind them about parsnips.
Yeah.
Remember, you went viral.
I did go viral with some parsnip opinions, yeah. But that was funny to me. Like, that's the whole point. Like, we spent money on things that were clearly not going to build our brand or get us followers or get anyone to even realize it's a podcast they should listen to. It's just supporting silliness.
It's performance art. We're the Andy Kaufman of podcasts.
See, that would sell us. That would get people listening.
Because people would comment, and that would be like the prize. That would be like the best case scenario, which happens sometimes. Someone would comment saying, "Why is this sponsored?"
Yeah, and why is this in my feed?
that's just
gold.
That's what
you can't put a price on that.
You can't. It's like Keith Barnsey. What? I don't know. I was trying to think of a name. I was
trying to think of an Australian name.
Keith Barnsey's like, why do I have to know about this fucking podcast?
Why is this in my feed?
Why is this in my fucking feed? I want answers.
Facebook.
But sorry to cut you off. Back to my serious point. But like after 10 years, that's commitment. You know, I think it's sometimes I'm like, it's kind of weird that like nothing really happened. You know, no one like picked it up.
But I feel like the issue here is twofold. Is that we don't have a marketable hook, right? Like when you ask people what it's about, you can't really say, oh, they're trying to solve the murder of someone who went missing in the outback in the 1980s. You know, oh, they're trying to deep dive into the complex political system behind Guantanamo Bay. You know, like you can't really get journalism from it. You can't really even get comedy from it a lot of the time. So
well,
it's
we
a
do
bit
all
of,
those things. I'm just going to say that we do all those things. We just do it very badly.
yeah, and that might be part of the problem. I mean, the other thing is the name is a little bit ambiguous. It doesn't, you know. I like the name, but that's mostly through like attrition rather than it really having sparkle.
Yeah, it's confusing. I still don't get it. But I have grown to like it. Like if it changed, I wouldn't be able to. It's now it has its own identity, I think.
Yeah.
Now,
I've said it enough for it to mean its own thing in my head now, in a way that I don't think we could like rebrand it.
Yeah.
Also, you're wearing a t-shirt and I'm drinking from a mug that says it on it. So it would be a waste of our merch investment.
Dude, our merch was so good. The cheapest shirts that money could buy on Etsy. What was I going to say? Oh, but maybe okay. Well, how about this, Nick? After this episode, what 225, 10 years?
Yeah.
Why don't we just change course? Hard 90-degree turn on Deep Fort. We just become a true crime podcast.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of them, but that just means that people are interested.
It's not funny at all. It's just like, imagine if we just went to serious true crime.
Yeah. You did a journalism degree. Like, I have media training. We could actually get out there and try and solve something. But
we could do this.
Yeah. It might. My biggest concern.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work. But also, like, alienating the diehards, you know? The people that want their chip chats, and we're instead talking about, like, racism in the prison system. It's not going to hit the same note, you know?
No, we have to honor the loyalty of the fans,
the long-time fans. I think we should.
Sure.
I think we should genuinely say at this point that there are people that do listen to this podcast, and it really does mean a lot to me and to us to know that, you know, people have been listening for literally years at this point to us ramble on about it. So if that's you and this is something that you look forward to or that you spend time to, you know, listen to with us, I really appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed. It does mean something. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's easier to be self-effacing or defacing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it is quite nice that, you know, people do listen to it. I think this is a good show.
I agree.
I would listen.
I agree. I enjoy it. I think
if I knew us, I would listen.
Yeah. Maybe we just need to go big. Issue. Maybe we need to skywriter, or, you know, like on the freeway, just get like a big banner.
Well, this is kind of what I hope for this show. I hope, you know, we keep doing this. Like, it would be funny. It would be a funny joke if we just continue to do this like into our 70s and 80s. But like for the bit is that we just never stop.
Yeah, we do it in like the resting home. Like it's on holograms. And it's like, oh, what'd you do this week? Oh, I went to the cafeteria and I got my lasagna, you know?
Yeah. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they'll make a documentary about us, you know, after we're dead or something. That'd be nice.
I mean, they could do it now. I'd like to see it.
The thing is, if one of us commits like a murder,
oh,
you bet your ass this is going to be on it.
Yeah, but then I could start the Murder Crime Podcast as the surviving non-imprisoned member of Deep Fort.
Well, why are you assuming that?
Well,
I'm murdered.
I
mean, I feel like you're more capable of murder than I am. To be honest,
thank you. Just like for physique reasons.
Yeah, for physique reasons.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
That's so nice of you.
Guy who can't take anything but a compliment.
Yeah, you look like you could murder someone. Oh, thank you. I have been working out.
I have been working out. Oh my god, we said it at the same time. That's
great
that's
minds.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Do you have? Sorry.
Yes, I do.
Oh, great. I was going to say, if you had to think back to the hundreds of podcasts we've done, are there moments that stick out for you?
I was going to ask you this. Yeah, I mean, you know what I remember? I remember the first episode that we did with, I think Ben was there.
He was.
Which is probably annoying for you.
No,
I think you were
fine.
annoyed.
No, well, I don't remember what I felt.
But I remember that. I remember when Dan came on and we talked about his brother who passed away.
Yeah.
There was a moment. I guess I remember like the people that we had on.
In the room. Anything. Or like
Yeah.
Yeah, the Skype ones, I guess, in terms of our setup, feel quite similar. So that makes sense that when they're in the same room or you have people there, it changes that, which makes it memorable.
Yeah. I remember Chicken Yamaka.
Chicken Yamaka, yeah.
That was big.
That was huge. That was
huge for a while.
That was all we could talk about.
Chicken Yamaka. What about you? Do you have?
For me, it's stories, and it tends to be your stories. Things like the episode 100, where you talked about the stalker.
Oh, Stalky.
That was...
Who might still be listening.
Well, at this point, it's like, just thanks for the persistence.
Yeah. Thank you. She's number one fan.
Yeah. Yeah, episode 100. And we held back that episode because we had to wait for your legal situation to resolve so that we could talk about it comfortably. But that was a great one for me. And at the end of it, I was like, that was a great example, I think, an early-ish example of this being a platform where you could actually talk pretty openly and honestly about serious shit and life stuff, and hopefully feeling like a bit of an outlet or whatever, and a place that you could trust to be yourself. That one sticks for me. And then it's just sort of the Christmas stuff. When we started doing the Christmas stuff,
isn't that nice?
It just I think even when I think it was me that proposed it, but I think when I pitched it, we were a bit like, oh yeah, that's going to be silly as a funny joke to have done. But then almost immediately, the degree in which we invested in that, I think, is one of the things I'm most proud of. As I said, we spent so long on that stuff so that maybe 70, 100 people can listen to it max. But that's worth it for us because we like making things.
It's part of it. We do. I guess I think that's it. I think the creating stuff is fun. It's my favorite thing is creating stuff.
Yeah.
And part of it is, and in keeping with the ridiculous tone of the show or ether, I don't even know what to call it, but just way too much effort for something that reaps no reward is funny.
It is funny, yeah. Yeah, we actively spend money. It costs us money to make this show because we host it. We have to back up all the episodes. We spend a lot of hours on it.
Not to mention our CO2 emissions.
Yeah, and the booze we have to drink. Booze. The tax man comes knocking, says, "Show us your paperwork." But yeah, you're right. It's just funny. It's funny to spend so much time and money on something like that.
I love it, man. I love it.
So tell me this: how, when you look back 10 years ago, describe 2014 Michael to me compared to 2024 Michael. How do you think you've changed as a person in that time?
Oh wow. Wow. Well, I'm grayer. I'm way more grayer than I thought I would be.
But see, this is one of those things, just to go on a brief tangent here. People died at age 30. 400 years ago, people if you got to 30, you would be like, oh my God, you've got so old. You've done very well. You got lucky because life was shit. And people would start aging, and you became fertile at 13 or whatever. You got to 20 and you were married and working, and then you died at 35, and that was a good life lived. And so I think this is just one of those things where you have to be like, oh right, Yeah, we've actually got an extra 50 years worth beyond what our bodies originally did. So, like, the grey hair is just sort of the remnants of, like, animal DNA turning on at the time they did a million years ago.
I mean, thank you for the weirdest reassurance about my insecurity. I appreciate that.
Does it not make sense?
From the beginning of time.
Surely that makes sense, right? I thought I made sense.
I mean, it does. It does. And I'm not like actually self-conscious about the grey hair.
Yeah, it looks good.
More compliments than I do.
Looks good.
But I'm sick of people going, no, like they everyone just says the same thing.
Silver fox is so annoying.
I want to cancel silver fox as a term.
Yeah, me too. # me too.
Oh, that's good. That's got a ring to it.
Yeah.
We should # me too for no reason for the 10th year
anniversary. I don't think that we should.
No, I agree. We should
just for optics.
Just to try and get that algo, baby. 2017.
We're looking for what was trending right now, and we thought, let's just put it on our pod.
How have I changed? Well, I would like to think that I'm a bit. When I have listened back to occasionally, I would listen to those early episodes. I think on the ones on Spotify. Like I would every now and then I'd go back to like 4 or 5 and just to hear myself there. And I think now I'm less. I'm more composed than I was, but I'm also. I think in that time, I learnt how I grew self-awareness, which I think is big because I don't think I was aware of myself in my mid-20s. Like truly, I don't think I was aware of how I affected what my impact was, what my presence did to other people, or how my actions or how I spoke with other people impacted other people. I think I would like to think that is the biggest way that I've changed.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of that early time is there was a freedom to being on a podcast, feeling empowered to say what you wanted, and then sort of taking advantage of that to be, offensive or shocking, because that's sort of like the immature 20-year-old, like poke the bear kind of mentality, right?
Well, I think that's what I mean. Like I was so like I would just say the cheapest thing to get a reaction.
Yeah.
And look, I still have that in me. I've tamed it a little bit, I think.
A lot. I think a lot. Yeah.
Well, someone that really doesn't like me. I have someone that really doesn't like me in this city, Melbourne. And she, part of her, I don't really know her. It's kind of a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
But she's like openly said that she doesn't like me.
Yeah.
Like she makes it known, and she'll like, I saw her out in a bar one time, and she just like completely just came up and just was like, "You're an edgelord," and just like in front of like people, which I thought was quite funny. But I think I still do have that in me. Like but I think it's also tied to like play. I know that sounds like a cop out, but I think it is just like play. I know it's bad.
Yeah, and as I said, I think that inclination is drastically reduced, and that when you deploy that is a lot more tactical. Who you deploy it on is a lot more tactical, and the things that you're saying to be provocative are different to immature 20-year-old person as well.
Yeah. So, I think it's a bit of maturity, but I like you know what, 10% of that is good.
Yeah,
if harnessed correctly.
Yeah, I mean it's a creativity engine, right? Like we listen back to some of those early episodes, and there is an undoubted like silliness there to some of it, which I do miss on occasion, like the riffiness of it, like the yes Andy nonsense, and even if the topics of it are sort of sometimes misguided, you can hear the play there, as you say, the enthusiasm for it.
Yeah. but I mean, yeah.
Do you
think I'm a better listener, as we said last week, but like one of the last episodes, like I think I'm a better listener as a result of the show, and I think that's huge as well. What about you?
For me, I think
just buffer.
Yeah. That's it. That's a big
Physically.
one. I mean, there is. I think that you can sort of chart my like gay journey a little bit in this podcast. You know, when we started 2014, I think I was maybe like 3 or 4 years out of the closet, like still pretty early in that experience, and like very early in a phase of still not knowing like how to be comfortable in my own skin, how to like fit in with different types of people, you know, being able to be yourself and be true to who you are and who your interests are, but like go out to a club and have a drink and not, you know, ruin other people's nights, and or, you know, like find the fun in it for you, and that kind of thing. Like the early 20s are all about finding yourself, right? And I think, you know, there was still, you know, you're battling internalized homophobia, you're battling uncertainty, and that presents as like nervousness, and I was having anxiety and things. And if you remember, one of the causes of the
panic attacks,
one of the causes of the origins of this podcast was that in 2012 I'd traveled. In 2013 I'd come back from this travel and had like a heart condition that was causing like tachycardia, and I was having panic attacks and anxiety, and I was feeling like my body was doing crazy things I didn't understand. We were trying to identify it and all this thing. In 2013, basically, I just survived it. I didn't achieve things in it. I'd finished my study. I'd come back from overseas. I was working at the cinema still, and it was all a bit aimless. And it was off the back of that in 2014, I was like, nah, I'm going to try and do something this year. Michael, let's start a podcast. But you can hear some of the remnants of that a little bit, because that anxiety, that lack of confidence and certain, you know, self-belief, self-love, whatever you want to call it, was missing in those early years. And then over 10 years of, you know, getting out there, dating, moving overseas, which forces you to learn things, to be independent, to enter the workforce, you know, all this kind of thing, start dating, you know, find someone. You can really really chart the confidence, I think, that I feel in myself now from where I was then. I feel a lot more assured about who I am, what I'm good at, and what I want to do, which might just be the passage of time, but I think it also helps to have this sort of steady project here in the background.
Wow. I love that. The Deep Thought is partly born out of a panic attack.
I mean, that's incredibly on brand. Yeah, it was just the
panic attack wouldn't have been a bad title.
It's pretty good.
Show,
we finally hit on something after 10 years.
Yeah, I think I can see that in you for sure. Like, you have definitely you've grown into yourself very well.
Yeah.
Why did we start a podcast? Like, what? Like, I don't mean like what's the purpose of it? I mean, like, how did it come about?
Yeah.
Like, were we just like, why did that idea come about?
I think it's because of the shared influences we had at the time. So I think we were both Ricky Gervais, listening to the audiobooks kind of stuff. We were probably listening to a bit of Nerdist, a bit of, you know, those early days of, you're probably on some Sam Harris, maybe even back then. And like, it was just one of those things that we had in common. We'd talk about the funny things we'd listen to, or the interviews we'd listen to. And
then we just thought, we're really funny too.
Well, I think it was like, I can do this, was my thought process, was that like, I have the tech, I have a computer, I can get a mic. Yeah. I think I can work out how to actually do this.
Yeah. Okay. I hadn't thought about that for a while.
Yeah. Should we do another shot?
Dude, why the fuck no? I'll say this. Okay. Well, actually, I won't say this if this is going to be on the mic.
Alrighty. I've poured another gin.
I'm not looking forward to this, but I'll do it for my buddy.
Clink.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
You know what's fun? Oh my God.
It's so good.
You know what's fun?
It's so good.
That Lauren's, I'm expecting Lauren's folks are staying with us today, and they're about to arrive at any point. Lauren's warned them that I am doing a podcast, so she's asked them to be like quiet. They haven't arrived, I don't think. But also, I'm going to come out of this room just absolutely toasted at 3:30 on a Sunday, and just have to explain.
Do you know, you've seen this shirt, right? Do you know what the look that Casey gave me as I put this on and went into the bedroom? It was just complete disgust. Like, who are you?
What does Casey get it? Does Casey like? But like, does he must hear you doing like silly bits or whatever for the show, like even the Christmas songs.
Yeah.
Is he just like, this is silly?
I mean, I don't think he's ever really tried to listen. But he's not that interested in it for sure, which is kind of most people on Earth. Though. I mean, I think the thing that he likes about it is that I get a social outlet so that he doesn't have to be the only person that speaks to me.
Takes the pressure off.
You're like a release valve. So he does, he genuinely like afterwards would be like, how'd it go? You ask, sort of cursory discussion points. But
he's not into it.
He's not like into it. No.
Do you know, I don't know if I told you this, but Lauren will often, and I mean often, listen to Deep Thought in bed because we both listen to podcasts to fall asleep. Yeah. And she often just listens,
zones out,
to every episode.
I think that's just a nudge that you should really be whispering sweet nothings in her ear every night so that she can nod off.
I think it's a way to keep tabs on me, to be honest.
Okay, just to check in.
It's out of paranoia. What did you say about me?
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it's fear.
Yeah.
So Nick, I tried to plan a little surprise for you.
Oh, okay.
Didn't really work out, but I'll tell you what it was.
Okay.
So I thought it would be funny not funny, fun, or nice. I don't really know what it meant.
I didn't know what outcome I wanted.
I actually didn't. But I thought, why don't it'd be great if I got my entire family to just say a little message about the show, given that they always ask about it.
That's very
from
sweet.
Time to time. So I asked my mum, and she said, "I'm busy." And then she said, "Ask your brother and your father. They're not doing anything."
Okay.
So I asked Ben.
I
didn't ask Dad.
Yeah.
But basically I've got a little recording from Ben and Laura.
That's very nice.
Is that nice?
It's very nice.
So this is this is a little message from my family about the show, and this is Ben, who was on the first ep.
Hey Nick and Michael, this is Ben. Just calling to say a big congratulations for reaching 10 years of Deep Thought. Doing anything for a decade is a huge commitment, but podcast has been going on for very long, and you guys should be very proud of it. I haven't listened to an episode in about 8 years, but people are saying that it's still just as good. So a big congratulations, and I hope you celebrate. Bye.
Very nice. Very nice
That's
message.
Very nice from Ben. He should listen.
Love that Ben stopped listening after 2 years.
His voice is different to how I remember it. Maybe it's just...
I think he's poolside.
Oh, that must be it. He's in a cabana.
So I haven't heard Laura's.
Okay.
This could be anything. I have no idea.
Well, it looks short, just by file size.
Okay.
But let's have a listen.
Hi, Mike and Nick. This is Laura. Huge congratulations on 10 years of the podcast. That is absolutely amazing. I've got to say, I've gotten really used to listening to the new episode every fortnight or so while running. And it's all down to Nick's thoughtful and considered talking points. They're so calming.
Getting in a slam.
Is there any way to get Mike to take it down a bit though? Because it's very frantic energy. That'd be great. Thanks.
Wow. I mean, you invited your family, so this sort of comes with the territory. But it's very nice. Very nice. Very nice to have taken the time. You know, sometimes the actions speak louder than the words, or you try to pretend that they do.
I mean, look, half of my family said no, so I appreciate even.
To be fair,
my siblings who have both been on the show.
A quarter of your family said no. One family member you didn't approach.
Unapproachable.
Okay, so it's still on him. Yeah.
Unapproachable.
That's very lovely. Thank you all. That's a nice little surprise.
I tried.
No, that's lovely. I think that's very sweet. I have something for you as well. But it's more in the form of a game. So
great.
As we've discussed, okay, you could try and sound more enthusiastic. This will be fun. This will be fun.
Let's play. Do you have autism?
No, we've discussed. I won't be doing that again.
Are you on the spectrum? That's a fun game.
The quiz is called. It doesn't have a name, but it's called the Deep Thought Quiz in my notes, and this is how it works. I'm going to read you a line spoken by either you or me in the past 225 episodes, and your challenge is just to tell me which one of us said it, Michael. This is all it is. Just tell me who said it.
I love this. Surely this is the easiest game.
Okay, well, if it's easy, then at least it's just a nice walk through memory lane. And if it's not, and there's challenge to it, well, that's interesting as well. But you'll get a point if you guess it right. 50-50, you should get at least 3. Okay, here's the quote. Number 1. I've decided to grow all of my hair, including arms and pubis. Who said that? Who said that?
Oh, I hope it was me. That's hilarious. I'm locking in me.
Locking in Michael. That was me.
Wow.
That was me who said it. But here's the thing. That was in the context of me riffing with you. So I said that line based on you talking about the fact that you wanted to grow out your hair. So
I love this little contextual.
There's a contextual thing. So your sense that this is the kind of thing you would have said is 100% true. But I actually delivered the line.
That's hilarious. I'm going to use that.
Okay. Here's the next one. Item 2. Never seen you in a tank top before. Hope to never again.
That's got to be me, because when I wore a tank top, and I know this because one of the episodes I listened to yesterday, we talked about I wore a tank top once and I was nervous about it, and then you didn't say anything for the entire episode, and it fucked with me for weeks. I was like, why didn't he say anything? Like, I was like just waiting to be made fun of.
Yeah,
but you never did it.
I saw immediately what you wanted me to say. And so the only move I had left to play was to not acknowledge the fact that you deliberately dressed in a tank top.
That's some next level shit, dude.
Yeah, that's
professional fuckery. But no, I'm locking into me. I think I said that to you.
Correct. Ding, you got a point. Yeah. Do you remember what it was about?
No.
I had stayed the night at your place, and I had slept in a singlet, and you commented about the fact that you'd never seen me in a tank top before and hoped to never again. Well, look what we've become.
Well, you didn't look as good back then. You didn't fill it out as well.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. All right. Quote number 3. I think just because we're sister and sister doesn't mean we shouldn't get married.
That's me.
That is you. That's you.
Good.
Episode 157.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know what? I listened to this episode yesterday.
Yeah.
It sounds like I've talked about a lot about like listening back. I swear I never do it, but yesterday I listened to 3 episodes.
Yeah. Well spotted. I might have linked that to you because we were talking about the ADHD stuff. But yeah. Howdy, partner. Do you have a toothpick? My sushi has got stuck in my toothy. I said in a Western accent. I can't do a Western accent. Yeah.
Well, did you say this?
Well, that's what for you to decide.
That's a you thing. I don't think I could have come up with that.
So you're locking in me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did say that. Episode 66. Yeah. Howdy,
66.
Partner. 66
Howdy,
early.
Partner.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We should have called this podcast After Midnight.
Is that meant to be not funny?
Yeah, it's not a funny one. It's not a funny one. To me, that's just like it's actually interesting because the context here is talking about the Chris Hardwick show at midnight.
Oh, yeah. And
then we were talking about our podcast being called After Midnight. But oddly enough, now there is a show called After Midnight, which is the At Midnight for today with Taylor Tomlinson. So we were ahead of the game.
By the way, that is rubbish, that show. I watched it the other day. It was great.
I think it very depends on the guests.
It was cringe. I don't know. You.
No, it was you, Michael. It was you.
Wow.
So if you're embarrassed by that, then you should never have said it.
It was just, okay.
All right.
Fair point.
Here's the next quote. You've usurped me with my own flesh and blood.
That has to be me because of something about my siblings being on the... Oh, no, I know what this is. It was me, and this is when you did your bit, which I would put in the highlights reel of the Deep Fort tapes, where you got my sister on the show. We planned to have my sister on the show, but then you started the podcast without me, and you started it with her, which was very rude.
Ding, 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 ding. 100% correct. I'll give you a bonus point for that. That's exactly who said it. You said it. It's about Laura, correct? And it was in exactly that moment where I had started the podcast with Laura before introducing you later as the special guest.
Very funny, but you know what that says? The fact that I know that is...
It's stuck with you.
Created trauma. It's trauma.
Episode 185.
Trauma memory.
Yeah. Alrighty, here's one more. To all the losers out there who said we could never do it, we'd like to say, fuck off. This is from the 150th episode, back when we were celebrating.
All the losers. I love that we call the three people. That's a me. I would like to think that's me.
That was me. I said it.
That's very good.
To all the losers out there who said we could never do it, we'd like to say fuck off. And today, at episode 225, 10 years on, we would still like to remind you that if you didn't believe in us, you can still fuck off.
And if you don't listen to it, you can fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of fun. I got so many quits, but yeah, that's a good place to start.
Well, maybe put them in a Facebook post, and we'll put some $15 behind it or something.
Yeah, just see who.
So hope you're getting some boomers feeds.
Random strangers who've never listened to the podcast get presented with questions about who said what.
Yeah.
Who said what?
We'll set the demographic to like 70 to 80, and then in Europe somewhere. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's great.
That was fun. I really gave it a shot.
You really thought about it. Yeah,
thank you.
I appreciate
5
that.
ants.
5 ants. Can I tell you something? My sister messaged me saying that I will never be able to look at Vyvanse again without thinking of that. And I was like,
is she on it?
No. She works with kids who are on it because she's an occupational therapist.
Oh.
But I was like, what? And she was like, Vyvanse. I was like, what do you mean? And I had never actually seen it written out, so I didn't recognize the words. And I was like, oh, is that what 5 ants is? Oh, right. Okay, gotcha.
You correct her. It's actually 5 ants.
It's actually 5 ants. I was like, but no, I looked at it and I did, because you'd never actually written it out and I'd only ever heard it. I didn't recognize it on the paper. So I don't know what this is.
Yeah. I'm worried that this has not been a good episode.
Well, our celebratory ones are always hit or miss anyway, because they're inward looking.
It's too much anticipation.
Well, and inward looking. It's just like reflecting on ourselves doing podcasts. Like it's Inception.
Yeah.
We've already established that our 20th episode was us just listening to the first episode again. So I think we've cleared an easy hurdle there for worst anniversary episode.
The next one we should do immediate director's commentary on this episode.
Okay. Just
like for the next episode.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed this podcast, well, that really does mean a lot
Which you
to
haven't.
us. No, I'm being serious here. In the 10 years that we've been listening, if you've enjoyed it, that's really meaningful to us. Okay, Michael's spilling things on the floor. Did you just drop liquid everywhere?
I just apologize to you.
Well, you should, because I was in the middle of the ramble.
Sorry, go on.
If
cleaning up.
Great. Well, this is par for the course, really. But thank you so much for listening. And please, if it means something to you and you think people would enjoy it too, then tell people about it. They can go to our Facebook page. They can go to our Instagram. They can go to our Spotify to listen to it, listen to the songs that we did for Christmas. You can go to SoundCloud. You can send us an email to deepfort@gmail.com and send through your comments. We'll read it in the mailbag. And sincerely, this has been a fun ride, and I'm really grateful for anyone who's joined us along the way.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It's been a long ride.
Yeah,
it's been kind of exhausting though, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I do put a lot of hours into it, but I look forward to it.
You do spend a lot of time, and I do acknowledge that you do most of the work. I know I have been doing the social media, but I will say this. What?
Well, I mean, social media. Yeah, sure.
It takes a bit of time to find the perfect.
Sure. No, I'm not. Image. I appreciate. I don't want to do it, so I'm glad that you do.
And I have to copy and paste text. It's not nothing. But Nick, on a serious note, I will say this, that I do kind of feel that we have talked about how, like, putting in maximal effort for minimal reward, and that is part of
the fun,
the joke.
Yeah.
Well, the joke and the fun. But like, I kind of feel like at this, like, this is the 10-year anniversary. Like, it's kind of a nice, clean, round number. It's kind of like a bookend.
Yeah.
And
start the next chapter.
I will. Well, I think, to me, I think maybe I'm a little bit tired. I will say this. I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit exhausted. I love doing the show, as I've said, but it's a little bit. I'm almost inclined to say that maybe we could cap this now, and it would be a nice thing. We can send it into the ether. 10 years.
Yeah.
10. I mean, we've got 10 years. We've got 225 episodes.
Which is not an even number, I should say. Like, that's not like...
Well, it's a clean number. It's a clean number. It's a prime number.
It's not a prime number. It divides by 5.
I have no idea what a prime number is.
You don't.
But seriously, like, I don't know if I can keep... I don't know if I can keep doing this, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
You're laughing, but I'm not joking.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a good... it's a good bit.
No, I am being.
But you don't actually have to do anything. Like, to be honest, you sort of just turn up.
Well, Nick, I like talking to you, but we can do that. But I don't think I want to keep. I don't want to keep doing this. To be honest.
Okay.
It's not. No. I'm not
Wait,
joking.
no, okay. But did you save this for podcast content telling me that you don't want to do the podcast anymore? Because that's fucked up, to be honest. That's kind of
yeah, I mean, yeah.
We talk all the time.
But do you even do you, let me ask you this. Do you want to fucking keep doing this?
Yes, I thought, we just spent so much fucking time talking about the fact that it's like this amazing time capsule we have going back into the past, like 10 years of our lives. And I, yes, it takes time, but at the end of every episode, I'm glad that we did it.
So am I, but I think we should take the British approach to a sitcom and not the American. We don't want to be friends. We don't want to overstay our welcome. We should leave on a high. I think 10 years is great. 225, perfect prime number. Let's go. Let's leave now. Let's quit while we're ahead. Is what I'm saying.
At 225, that's the number, the magic number that we hit. That means
it's the perfect number.
How it?
It's the perfect number.
Are you being serious, right?
I'm being fucking serious. Honestly,
that's bullshit, to be honest. Because we talk all the fucking time. Why would you not bring this up on our messenger chats or whatever?
Because it's good content.
Content for a podcast you want to get rid of. This is
goodbye, I think, Nick.
No.
Yes, I'm not joking. I think we should end it.
You want to end it just
serious.
for like roundness.
I think we've done what we came to do. For real. Say something.
I mean, think of what you're losing. Think of all you have. A decade of a podcast, a friendship, fun and laughs. 'Cause there's nothing else quite like it. Two white men who speak their minds. Would you put away your mic and let down all of humankind? 'Cause there's no one else around you who laugh at all your jokes. Nobody you know who can still keep you on your toes. So please just take a second before you make the leap. Don't do what you've threatened. Don't throw away a decade in the I get all my science news from meatheads at the gym. So don't pretend this matters. Don't lie to a friend. Baba Wagner told us that everything will end. So let's not beat her out. Let's finish on a high. With one great final episode and a song to say goodbye. So don't cry 'cause it's over. Laugh, we dared to try. We'll go out as the greatest podcast hosted by two guys. Wow, so that's really how you feel?
Yeah, sorry, bud.
I mean, it just seems like we've had such a good time. There's so much more we could do.
Yeah, but Nick, look, things are changing. I'm changing. I'm about to get married. I I don't have time for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I respect that. I understand. I'm just saying, what if you could bring back Mikey's horoscopes?
I did a voice you couldn't cope.
Or impression of the week again.
I think I peaked with my cocaine.
We love weird news and science news and seance news and George Clooney news.
I think it's clear that we just reuse the same idea.
That's no excuse. Michael's facts.
I ripped you off.
Michael's miffed.
You tend to scoff.
Chip chat, gim gab, bitly bo.
Wreckage, mailbag, blanket fort.
And what about that trip to Mars?
I've thought it through, I wouldn't last.
Let's stick it out, you know the talk is cheap.
Okay.
You'll stay?
Yeah.
A decade in the
A decade in the deep.
Love you, man.
Love you too, dude.